Right when you thought it was over, the Diamondbacks have never been more back. Corbin Carroll goes yard twice, and our Eduardo Rodriguez absolutely shoves. We have more on all of this in 30 seconds. Don't go anywhere. Welcome into Studio K, presented by our friends Circle K. Diamondbacks win in a big fashion. Of course, we are here. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as your mayor of PHNX. This man next to me is occasionally known as the People's Producer, but not anymore. I mean, we're going to have to change that name. I don't know. You're still the People's Producer when it comes to the Cardinals, so we might just have to keep that. But of course, it's Damon Farrell, and of course, we have our guy Kevin on the ones and twos behind the Mac. But the Diamondbacks beat the Rockies. Don't believe that score bug up there because Joe Mantiply gave up some runs late. But Diamondbacks beat the Rockies by a score of 9-4 to keep from getting swept in Colorado. They are now 84-68, matching their win total from last year. So hey, there's a plus. Right? Yeah. We hit 84 wins, and the Diamondbacks have 10 more games to go. Of course, this show is brought to you by our friends at Bet365. Go download the Bet365 app right now. Of course, use that code of PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why it is never ordinary at Bet365. The Arizona Diamondbacks offense finally woke up after scoring 2 runs per game at Coors Field inexplicably. The Diamondbacks blew up in this one, scoring 9 runs. Of course, a huge part of that was Corbin Carroll, who hit 2 dingers in this one, helping move this man's future bet along nicely.
Road to 23.
The road to 23 is where we're at. What do you think about Corbin's big day? I know you wanted more. You were a little selfish
the whole time. I mean, Derek was calling me like the greediest man alive.
Just absolutely greedy. He's just the worst.
I'm sitting there in the 9th inning, and I'm saying, Corbin, we want 3. We want a third home run.
Why not?
Why not us?
Why not us? Well, with the way he was dealing today, of course, why not us? The Arizona Diamondbacks, of course, got a lot from Corbin Carroll today. The big part of this being that Corbin Carroll now has consecutive 2020 seasons. So congratulations to Corbin on that. That didn't even really look like that was going to be a possibility at one point this season. We were talking about it, one home run in 1 month, 2 home runs in another month, 0 home runs in June. And that future bet was looking dead in the water, but Corbin Carroll has been on another level, of course, since July 9th, roughly. That's kind of when, of course, as I say it, he was unplugged and plugged back in. But this was his 3rd multi-home run performance of the season. And, of course, all of those coming since that date. Corbin's just been, amazing. I know that, of course, his batting average is probably not going to end up at the end of the season, of course, anywhere that tells the tale of how good he was in the second half. Yeah. But that OPS is creeping. He's at 760. Sure. I mean, he could be at 800 here very soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think the average is kind of like in modern baseball, right? It's somewhat negligible. If your OPS is 760 like Corbin's is right now, the 235 average doesn't hurt as much. And as he's been on this tear, the extra base hits have just been all over the place. I mean, triple after triple, home run after home run. Corbin's been really good recently. But yeah, like you said, I mean, we were talking about it earlier. Through June, he had 2 bombs.
Yeah.
He had 1 in April, 1 in May, 0 in June, 11.
That's what it was, 2
in August.
Yeah.
And hit his first 2 of September. So yeah, road to 23, Derek. We need 2 more.
He's also 1 stolen base shy, becoming the first Arizona Diamondback ever to record consecutive seasons with 20-plus home runs and 30-plus stolen bases. And I mean, again, so much of that has been here in the second half. He's just been awesome. Piece of Yoshi with the super chat says, take a shot every time. Bert said, we need to score more runs. 6 runs isn't enough in this ballpark. Well, he almost wasn't wrong with the way that Mantiply pitched there in the bottom of the 9th. But the Diamondbacks did, of course, keep them keep the Rockies off the scoreboard for the majority of this game. And a huge part of that was Eduardo Rodriguez, who was just outstanding today. When you talk about Eduardo, a.k.a. E-Rod, a.k.a. Picasso, as we are starting to call him on
a.k.a. Bob Ross.
A.k.a. Bob Ross on the mound. He was the pitcher we always hoped he could be. I mean, and beyond today. Like, I know he still gave up 2 earned runs, and he was very mad at himself for doing so, but his four-seam fastball was outstanding today.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was really today was the guy that, we were hoping we would see on the mound at one point.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, the strikeout total is a little bit more than I would have expected. I mean, I don't really, maybe I'm wrong on this. I don't really view E-Rod as a big strikeout guy. But yeah, I mean, 11 Ks in one game is crazy stuff. That's Zach Gallen stuff when he's like on his game, so it's encouraging to see from E-Rod, and it's making it where it's like good problems to have going to the playoffs, right? Where, it's like, who do they pitch? Brandon Pfaadt. I mean, he hasn't been pitching too well recently, but Eduardo Rodriguez is really doing pretty well right now.
Yeah. Well, of course, we have a lot of, we just had an excellent day here from E-Rod. 9 whiffs on 19 swings for the 4-seam fastball, 14 whiffs total today. His line, 6 1/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, gave up 2 earned runs, walked 1, but 11 strikeouts. Those 11 strikeouts in the start are the first time he struck out 11 plus since he did it as a member of the Boston Red Sox back in 2019. And it was also his first outing of 6 innings or more since his final start of 2023 versus the Guardians. So this was a very encouraging outing for E-Rod, and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later when Jesse Friedman joins us from Coors Field, but this puts an interesting wrinkle in the starting pitching dynamic right now for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Absolutely. I mean, like I just mentioned, like it's good problems to have, but maybe even not, because if Brandon Pfaadt comes out tomorrow and doesn't have a great performance, then I feel like E-Rod's kind of making that decision a little bit more simple on the Diamondbacks there. But
having a lefty in a 3-game set obviously is going to be important for them, right?
Yeah, it's advantageous.
I mean, it feels like there's a good chance that he could end up in that spot regardless of how well Brandon Pfaadt pitches, but we don't know how things are going to, break down for this team. Of course, we still have to talk about Randal Grichuk, who still does not get enough playing time. Let's be honest. He came in with a ridiculous slash line for September when everyone else seemed to be struggling. Grichuk was hitting 448, 484, 1069.
Is that good?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
That's his slug percentage. I thought that was his OPS.
That's his slug. That's his slug.
That's crazy.
He was scratched on Sunday with having some right hamstring discomfort, so there was a little bit of concern there that the Diamondbacks might once again be losing another position player. We know, as Jesse updated us on yesterday, that they are very close to Lourdes Gurriel Jr. returning. So, of course, the baseball gods needed some sort of sacrifice to balance the scales here. But Grichuk luckily played today, and, man, he was incredible for this team. He had a home run as well. He also had a double. Grichuk 2 for 4 with an RBI. And just a great day all around. Diamondbacks had plenty of contributions across the board offensively. Gabriel Moreno was 2 for 5. You had Jake McCarthy going 2 for 5. So yeah, I mean, just a good day. Christian Walker 1 for 4 with 2 RBI himself.
Good to have Gabby back.
It's good to have everybody back.
It is.
This felt like the most complete Diamondbacks lineup that we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, probably about a month and a half, right? But I'm looking at Grichuk's splits here. He has 29 ABs in this month and 14 RBI. That's crazy. That's actually crazy.
And he doesn't play that often.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the craziest
That's one of the hardest, most underrated things in baseball is coming cold off the bench when you're not seeing a lot of pitching.
Right.
Like I think that's what's been so impressive to me about Jock and Grichuk this season is that a lot of times Torrey plays to the splits because the relievers are coming in the game specifically to get Jock Peterson out of the game or get Randall Grichuk out of the game and bring the other guy in, right? So like it's been impressive how they've both been able to have that level all season long where they've been consistent good contributors for this team while simultaneously having to come off the bench in the 8th inning of a game here and there and hit after not seeing a pitch all game long. So yeah, they deserve a lot of credit for that.
And I will also say, can everybody hear me okay? Are we good, Cuddy? I just got to make sure. Is my mic off? No, it's not. It's not good. All right. Thanks. Thanks. All right. Well, if that makes things better, thank you, Shane, for that. Of course, there is still something to be said here about the bullpen because Joe Mantiply did not keep things solid there late. But, I mean, who cares in a game like this? It's just more of the you got to look at Ryan Thompson coming in, giving 2/3 of an innings pitched. You also have J Mark coming in and giving one inning, giving up just the one walk. So outside of Joe Mantiply, the bullpen was solid. This team was solid. But, yeah, I think that there's still some concerns about who you can trust when it comes to the Diamondbacks bullpen for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's just been the story all season long, right? And I feel like that's kind of all relievers, right? Like unless you're like the elite of the elite reliever, you kind of have ebbs and flows as the season goes on. But you'd like to be peaking right now, right? Like you'd want to be in a place where we'd say Joe Mantiply looks pretty good as our fifth option in the bullpen, or Kevin Ginkel has really been shoving recently, but unfortunately that really hasn't been the case. So yeah, we're going to need those guys to play a lot better down the stretch, to be honest with you. I mean, Ryan Thompson seems like he's been picking it up a little bit recently. Am I wrong in saying that?
Ryan Thompson has been better for sure. And Justin Martinez still continues to be solid. Obviously I'm sure there was a matchup that Torey liked with bringing in Joe Mantiply there late. Probably wanted to save AJ Puck as much as possible in a game where they're up 9-2. So it all made sense other than the fact that you just, you'd really like to see, a quality outing once again from the bullpen, like we've seen at times this season. We have very much praised the bullpen on this show, but I mean, in this series, the Diamondbacks relief bullpen ERA was 7.56, and that's just not going to. It's not going to get it done. It's not going to get it done. It's not going to help you win games, and it continues to be very bad in the month of September, as we discussed yesterday. But of course, this is happy times. The Diamondbacks avoid the sweep, which is a good thing. Like I said earlier, they do improve to 84-68, and now
we're back.
We're back. We've
never been more back. We were dead yesterday, dead in the water.
It was completely over yesterday.
Oh, so
yeah. I mean, Thunderbolt isn't even here in the chat, which just shows you that the Diamondbacks had a great day, because you know how it goes.
It's true. He would be here.
He would be here if they got swept. He would be dominating the chat, and that's the way it works.
It's appointment television. Yeah. When there's a Diamondbacks loss, Thunderbolt is like legally required to get in this chat.
Tanner has been furious with this team at times, but Tanner is still here saying things like McCarthy is cooked. See, I respect that out of Tanner, right? I respect all of you. So thank you guys for being here. And of course, you know what time it is. We got to give our king snake to somebody. There were a couple of good choices in this one, but it's hard not to give it to the guy that helped this man move closer to some money. It's the one and only Corbin Carroll, 2 for 4 today with 2 home runs, 3 RBI, and 1 walk. Carroll's just been outstanding, continues to be outstanding, and just has absolutely been the one consistent member of the offense for this team lately. I know he doesn't go out there on a night in, night out basis and give you 3 out of 4 nights, but he's continuing to make it happen. He gets on base. He's been making things happen with his speed, and he had a very funny moment where he was coming in. What was this, in the top of the 9th inning? Where he tagged up from third base and came in and had the time to take his own helmet off.
He was just running with his helmet like it was a football.
Well, because his helmet flies off due to the speed. Mm-hmm. Like I've said, it was
shaking on his head.
Yeah, it's like he's like a space shuttle going into space. Like the atmosphere, like his speed is so intense that like things just peel off of him and debris, ends up in his wake. And of course, he just wanted to not have to go back and pick up his hat. But of course, Corbin Carroll was amazing, and the Diamondbacks have 10 more games that they'll need him to be amazing for, and then they very much need him to be amazing in the playoffs. But
how much does it stink, kind of, that they've matched their last year's win total, but they're in a dogfight for the playoffs? I mean, it was a dogfight last year to get into the postseason, but they managed to do it by half a game or a tiebreaker. I forget exactly what it was on that last day, but now it's like they're significantly better than they were last season from a record standpoint. And it's going to probably come down to the wire again.
I think that's a good point. I think the other side of that is that you look at how close these teams are even to the best teams in the National League, right? No team in baseball is going to win 100 games this season, most likely, right? Like that looks like it's pretty much out of reach.
That's crazy.
And, it's just, I think that speaks to the parity because not only do you have the top teams not winning that significant amount of games more and kind of running away with it, you also have, these teams that do have a good record are closer to those top teams, but there's more of them, right? So I think it's just, baseball is this game. I mean, it's so crazy that you can have 2 games like the Diamondbacks just had where they were able to basically muster up 2 runs, and you have Corbin Carroll outdoing that by himself today, let alone what the rest of the team did. The Rockies are one of those teams that are frustrating because their record suggests they're a bad team. Their record suggests that the Diamondbacks should have come in here and swept them. But that's not what they've been doing lately. The Rockies actually have a lot of new additions to their team. And, they just got done also basically ending the Cubs season in the last series they played. I mean, they put the Cubs so far behind that they are now, you can't really consider the Cubs to still be in the race. But
the Cubs lost to the A's today, by the way. So I think it's time.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. You want
3:30 p.m. Time of death.
Wednesday, September 18th.
Sorry, CHGO. At least they have Wrigley Field, right?
Oh, it's beautiful over there. They have deep dish pizza too. So
they'll always have Wrigley Field.
Always have
not the playoffs, but
no, they definitely don't have the playoffs. But of course, I mean, there's no reason to tap dance on their grave anymore, should we? I don't know.
It was pretty.
I feel like a bad person.
It feels pretty fun to tap dance on the graves of all the all-city baseball teams that we cut. Like, I mean, you're gonna tell me last year against PHLY Phillies, like that wasn't like. I mean, I felt like the man.
Oh, we had a funeral, I think, didn't we? We had a little gravestone.
We did have a gravestone.
Yeah, we got crazy with it. But of course, we do have one more thing that I wanted to talk about from this game, Damon, that I love so much. And it gets me so pumped. And I started talking about it yesterday because we got the video from Jesse with Jordan Montgomery talking about how he goes and hangs out in the bullpen now. And he did that today. Today, after the pregame festivities, Jordan Montgomery headed out to hang out with his friends in the bullpen. And it's such a vibe. Like, I don't know why I get so excited about this, but it's kind of like Jordan Montgomery finally found something that kind of makes him happy again, right? Like something that just like, hey, no, I really like Ryan Thompson and Joe Mantiply, and I'm going to go kick it with them in the bullpen and not, the rest of you on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak on stuff that I don't really know about, but it did kind of feel like he wasn't like part of the Diamondbacks group in a way throughout this season. Like, even though we brought in Jock Peterson, he feels like he's been here forever. Dude,
that's a great point.
I think it's not Gino. Same thing. Like, it's not like the new additions haven't felt like they haven't kind of vibed with this core that we have. But to me, it just kind of felt like Jordan was a little bit more on the outside of things. So hopefully, if he's feeling a little bit more connected, maybe he's a little bit more dangerous.
Have you ever been the new kid at school?
I mean, like I've gone to schools that like I didn't really know anybody when I was like when I transitioned to 6th grade or to high school.
Yeah.
But never like in the middle of when I should have been in middle school, go into a different middle school or something.
Yeah. I did that and it sucks. Right. And like, it's weird because the thing that can make the difference there is the acceptance of people and finding people that you vibe with.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? And like, sometimes just having that group of people can make everything else just kind of be whatever, because you still like, you're in a good mood. You have people that you enjoy their company. And, it's also just cool that he goes out there and like roots really hard for the team. And like, that's part of why he likes being out there, is because he can just kind of like cheer on the guys from the bullpen.
I mean, it's like, this is a different sport, but like from my personal experience, I remember when I was a junior in high school, our football team, like we had a lot of really good D1 talent on our team, but the team was awful. I mean, they missed the playoffs. It's at Sal Point. I don't know if anyone knows anything about Sal Point, but like it's the best football team in Tucson in high school. And like, you don't have losing seasons. They had a losing season with multiple Division I football players. And then next year we had 0 Division I football players, but we liked each other. That team hated each other and they had way more talent, but they missed playoffs. Yeah. We were like all best friends on my senior year, and we had a really good team for it. So I think it's an underrated aspect of sports is the team morale, how people feel about each other, and like it's part of the reason the Diamondbacks were as good as they were last year, I think.
And that brings us back to Belgian draft horses and how much they can tow when they were raised together. Tori's always thinking.
Damn right.
I want to give a shout out up there in the chat. Go back up. I think Chris RA says, Monty body language is noticeably different. I noticed that too. And I think that a lot of people noticed that. I think Chris had a comment a little bit up about that. He said, I think Monty came in very angry this year. I'll summarize. And finally found happiness. And yes, the happiness is there. And like, it's just small things, right? It's small things. Sometimes, again, it's kind of like us here at PHNX. Like we truly have a great group of people around here, and we're all rooting for each other's success. And, except Damon. Why are you laughing about?
Because the comment that's on screen is one of my best friends, Kevin, who was on the team, and he doesn't really watch the show, I don't think, all that much, but he just happened to be here exactly for that.
Hell yeah. Well, of course, we also have Tori talking here before today's game on knowing that last year's team didn't finish strong, obviously, in the regular season, but still went far in the playoffs. This is what Tori had to say.
I think so. I think our guys are battle tested. They've been through just about everything this year, and you can only draw on some of the comparisons and some of the things that you've felt before in this game. So yeah, I know where we are in the standings. It's overlapping with what happened last year. I think we were fighting to win baseball games all the way through the final couple days of the season, and I think that's how we're wired. I think we embrace that. So. I don't think the guys are panicking because of what's going on. I know that when you have the experience to draw from, it can only prepare you for what's to come, and I think that's where we sit right now.
I think that is an underrated aspect, Derek, of how this situation is playing out. Like a lot of these guys have played in big moments, big games. So this current situation where they're really fighting, I don't think that it's like the mental side of things is necessarily getting to them. I think they're incredibly battle tested, but it's just going to come down to how good of baseball they play. I don't think it's like they're scared or something like that,
No, I don't think so. I just think like, especially in a place like Coors Field, right? The minute you start struggling, we kind of talked about this, you and I, you get past that third, fourth inning in that first game and you're like, oh, damn. Like what's going on? And, you start just pressing a little bit. And I don't think it's the moment getting too big. I don't think they're thinking about the Mets and the Braves catching them. I think it's more of just like, you're sitting there with you just want to smash one because of the environment and because of, how you normally do there. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for them like that in the first 2 games of this series. But it did today. And the Diamondbacks offense definitely showed up. It was a great day all around for this team. Defensively, they were solid. We saw Gino making some of those plays that he kind of screwed up in. And yeah, this has been at least a day where you feel a little bit more confident that this Diamondbacks team isn't doomed. That's kind of what started happening after they lost yesterday's game, was that doom was starting to set in with 11 games left in the season.
Well, at least for the fans, right? Like at least for me and you and Jacob Franklin, who's texting me like this team is lifeless and we're done, we're cooked. Like,
Jacob was taking all of his Diamondbacks gear to Goodwill. He was ready to just cash it in.
I'm sure he probably texted like me individually, like Jesse individually. Like that guy is living and dying with all of these games. So.
Oh yeah. I'll show you my text message that I got from him a little bit later. But of course, we very much appreciate all you guys being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel right now. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Of course, sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever our shows go live. And then, of course, hit that like button. We would both appreciate it very much. You gotta hit the like. You gotta hold the line, and you gotta HTL, of course.
Jesse Jr. told me that he actually like it kind of is like it means everything to him.
It really does. It really does.
If you don't like it, like he gets really emotional, and like then Derek and I have to like make sure he's okay. It's like a whole thing.
He doesn't want to come on the show, and he just sulks in the corner. But of course, you can subscribe to us on your favorite audio podcasting app, and that makes him feel so much better. Also, leave us a 5-star review and say it's because of the snake, and then of course that'll cheer him up as well. But of course, we thank you guys so much. We have more from this wonderful series. So I probably shouldn't have said that. At least this wonderful game and the series total here in a little bit. But first, want to tell you about Empire Today, because of course with Empire Today, you get shop at home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a price match guarantee. So what more are you looking for? I know sometimes it's scary to go out there and decide which company you're going to go with when it comes to a commitment as big as changing your flooring in your home. And Empire Today is the perfect company to do so. Of course, not only have they been around for all, we've heard the jingle for most of our lifetimes, but working with Empire Today is quick, easy, and convenient. And that's the most important thing, because when you have anything going on construction-wise in your house, you don't want it to take up a long period of time. You don't want that to last and impact your life. So, of course, Empire Today will take care of that for you. They'll also minimalize those trips of people coming out with their virtual floor designer, which is a great way to see how those floors will look in any space. All you got to do is just snap a picture and instantly see how the new floors will look in your room. And based on what you're looking for in flooring, they will give you, of course, a curated selection, so you don't have to look through thousands of options to find the ones that you are particularly looking for, which that can be a time waster as well. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 discount when they use promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/PHNX for details.
Don't cheap out on your flooring. It's the last thing you want to cheap out on.
No, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, I've been in my home for a long time now. I've been in my home for 16 years. Oh my God, I'm so old. But there are some things that were done right, and there were some things that were done wrong. And I've very much had the chance to see that you want to do it right, and you want to do it right the first time, so that way you don't have to repair it. But of course, if you do have any problems, Empire Today services their own warranties. You don't have to track down a manufacturer's phone number or any of that. Empire will take care of it for you. Also, check out Bet365. Be like this man, get down on future bets. Right now is a great time to do so with the NBA. Of course, that's coming up. And I mean, I don't know, but I have to say that there are a few things as fun to bet on as football. Football is so much fun to bet on. And of course, you can get down on the live in-game betting while you're watching football this Sunday. Bet365 offers the widest range of markets and games available for live in-game betting across 78 sports, but most importantly, all across football. So make sure to check out what they have over there. Right now, new customers can choose between 2 offers when you sign up. Of course, you can use that code of PHNX365 when you sign up, deposit $10, and choose either between a bet and get offer where you can place a $5 bet or more and get $150 in bonus bets, or a first bet safety net offer where you can place up to a $1,000 bet, and if your qualifying bet loses, you receive a matched refund in bonus bets. With the Bet365 baseball early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes up by 5 runs ahead. So in this one, you were a winner despite what the bullpen tried to do there late. And of course, parlay and same game parlay selections will be marked as winners as well. So download the Bet365 app and use that code of PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why it is never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or over and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
Before the season, I put down a little win total bet on the DBacks as well, as that coincides with my Corbin Carroll future. And we need one more W here, Derek, with our friends at Bet365.
He did the over on 84.5 wins.
So one more W, guys.
That's a good one.
It was a good one.
Yeah. Well,
that's the kind of odds you can get at Bet365.
That's right. Well, the Diamondbacks have a series starting up immediately here with the Milwaukee Brewers. So hopefully they can fulfill that. Hopefully. Why am I saying hopefully? We need them to win, at least.
We will. We're back.
We're back. Yeah, we've never been more back. What am I saying? Let's take a look, of course, at the count from this series presented by Desert Financial Credit Union. And that kind of proves how back we are a little bit, even though the Diamondbacks lost the series. They still barely get outscored by the Rockies 15-13. Diamondbacks do, in fact, out-hit the Rockies in this series 26-24, which I don't know if that's frustrating or just baseball.
Well, game 1 was extremely frustrating, right? We doubled up their hit total and lost the game. So that one was a pretty damning game when it comes to these hitting numbers.
Yeah, that's for sure. But of course, runners in scoring position, the Rockies were 8 for 23, while the Diamondbacks were 6 for 27. Really good thing to take away from this one, no matter how bad the series actually went for the Diamondbacks, is that their starting pitching ERA was 2.65, and that's something that you wanted to see, and that includes Jordan Montgomery in there, going 4 2/3 and only giving up 3 earned runs. But I mean, this was a pretty quality day here for the Diamondbacks. Of course, you also have the Colorado Rockies here with a 6.17 starting pitching ERA, relief pitching ERA. Very good for the Rockies, of course, and they got a lot of innings out of that. I mean, this is probably the worst aspect of this for the Diamondbacks, is that the Rockies had a 1.76 ERA and a whole lot of innings pitched, 15 1/3 innings pitched, almost 4 more innings more than their starters went, while the Diamondbacks relievers really struggled in this one with a 7.56 ERA.
Yeah, the relief pitching ERA at this point in the season, that's not exactly encouraging.
No. But of course, what is encouraging is the way that E-Rod pitched today, right?
Yeah.
And again, I know this is something that's going to probably evolve as the rest of the season goes on. But who are the Diamondbacks going to turn to if they make the postseason for that Wildcard series, for instance, that first 3-game series that most likely could be against the Padres or against the Brewers or against the Dodgers?
That would be gross. I would please, let's get the Brewers.
I mean,
it's what we were talking about last year, and it felt pretty good when we played them. Like, that's kind of where I'm at again. Like, I want the Brewers. I know that they're a better team than maybe they get credit for, but I just don't look at their lineup and like it doesn't inject any fear into me. You know what I mean? Like they have Contreras and that's pretty much it. So yeah, I think that's definitely something that is scary, but I hope it's just I don't know. I don't want to play the Padres in particular. Yeah. I kind of feel better about playing the Dodgers. Is that weird?
Yeah, no, it's not weird. It's not weird. I've actually said that. I've said that in regards to the Dodgers, and that's because the Dodgers right now don't get me wrong, they still have some of the best players in all of baseball. So that, of course, never really bodes well for the idea of wanting to play them. But, of course, a big problem with that is the fact that they still seem to have worse pitching than the Brewers. So I don't really know. I don't.
Yeah, the Brewers pitching staff is pretty decent, but you're right. I don't know. The Padres are so scary. They have a ton of good people in their lineup, and it's not a team that you want to play. Like, did you see that Machado bomb yesterday, Derek?
Yeah, no, that's gross.
The vibes at Petco Park were unreal. Like, the fans were going crazy. The last thing I want is to play them on the road in that series.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And that's what a lot of people in the chat are saying. And I mean, I don't know. I think so there is something to be said about the fact that, the Diamondbacks are playing the Brewers here a lot. So these teams will know each other really well. And I don't know who that gives the advantage to, right? Mm-hmm. The Brewers or the Diamondbacks. Obviously, we're going to be playing in Milwaukee if that's who they end up playing, or we'll be playing in L.A. If we play in LA, we just need to send Christian Walker out there, and he'll single-handedly win the series. So there's that.
See, that does feel good. And I feel like they would press against the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers, in a series because of what happened last year and how that all went down.
That's a good point.
Part of me feels like they would be like, oh, we need to win. Like, the pressure's on them after sweeping them last year. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Dodgers. The Padres, obviously, like, there's not that kind of dynamic going on. Like, it's not like a big brother, little brother type of situation. So that's why, I don't know. The vibes in San Diego are just something that I don't really want to deal with.
I agree with what everybody is saying, though, in the chat in regards to we got to get there first, right? Lee says it's going to be tough whoever we play, and we have to get there first. And honestly, I didn't mean to be a Debbie Downer yesterday, but it was hard not to be. A Derek Downer is what I should say. But Derek Downer definitely was in the house yesterday because I do feel like it's a valid thing to look at the way they played in the first 2 games of this series and think, what is this team even going to do in the playoffs, right? But then you see them play like they did today. And you think like, wow, the only real blemish besides obviously E-Rod giving up a couple of runs there in an inning where suddenly he was giving up like he was cruising, and he cruised almost his entire outing. But, you know, he struggled through one inning kind of oddly. And outside of that, it felt like he had a great day. It felt like, of course, the bullpen could have come in and shut it down if Torrey needed it to be the case, and could have gone with its high leverage guys throughout instead of maybe Joe Mantiply in the ninth inning. But this team today very much looked like a team that could, you know, hey, beat anybody in the playoffs, you know, and that's, again, this is against the Rockies team that probably shouldn't be your litmus test by any stretch of the imagination. It's just when they're on and they play and they look sharp like they did today, it feels like they can beat anybody.
Well, it's baseball. I mean, any team can beat anybody, right? Like that's kind of the point of the whole sport, I feel like. And when you get to the playoffs, like it's just about getting in the dance. Yeah. You know, it's not some crazy like sport where it's just like in the NFL, the Chiefs are going to be in the AFC Championship game.
Right.
Like I'm going to guarantee that right now. In baseball postseason, I have no idea what teams are going to be in the NLCS or whatever, you know? So I don't know. That's just kind of the weird thing about this sport that we love so much.
Yeah. I mean, and it is weird. And of course, anything can happen. And that's why Jesse hates it, because of the randomness. And that's why we all love it, because of the randomness. And I know that the Diamondbacks they can win if they get into the postseason. And of course, today was a perfect example of this team basically, you know, showing how good they could be when everything clicks.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's also against Austin Commerce, so I don't want to get crazy, you know.
Yeah.
Someone had said earlier that I thought the Rockies bullpen sucked. I thought it did too, but apparently that's not the case. Parts of it has sucked, but they have called up a lot of young guys, and I know that
who was that guy yesterday? What was like Havelstein
or
2 days ago?
Yeah,
I mean, dude, that
throwing
guy
100 miles an hour.
That guy
casually.
is nasty.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean they have some Justin Lawrence. I don't know how good he's been this year. I'm not like super locked in on Rockies baseball, to be honest with you. But
Justin Lawrence, he has an incredible head of hair.
5.97 ERA, but he has some decent stuff, you know.
Yeah. But they have a couple of good guys over there, and of course they leaned heavily on the bullpen in this series. So Diamondbacks, I don't know what's happening in regards to the Diamondbacks and you know, struggling against opposing bullpens. But this hasn't been a great case of that. All right. Well, of course, excuse us for having some technical difficulties really quickly. We will get the lights back on here shortly. But of course, let's take a look once again at our numbers from this series, and we can make sure that, of course, we get everything back up for you guys. We also have Jesse joining us here shortly from Coors Field. So anyway, this series, again, not a great series for the Diamondbacks, but they did win today. And you know, again, they get out of here with a very encouraging
they needed this win. They absolutely needed this win. At least put it up earlier in the chat. Like, our chat right now would be total doomsday mode if we had gotten swept in this series. Like I don't really know what the deal was with that, but like it's just, I don't know. The Diamondbacks fans we're very on edge about how things are going. Each game feels like a live and die type of moment. You know what I mean?
It's fair though, right? Is it not? I mean, it's fair based on how close things are right now and how, I mean, again, the Diamondbacks just kind of got hot, I guess you could say, at the wrong time, because they got hot, they played well, so did other teams. And then when they started to cool off a bit, those other teams didn't cool off. So it felt suddenly like we were kind of in a panic there, you know. The Braves were a team that were struggling, and then they even started playing good baseball and not really losing a lot of games. So I think it just kind of got to the point where you had so many teams like breathing down your neck there late that or recently that you don't feel comfortable. And also watching them lose 4 out of 5 games will definitely make you feel that as well. You know what I mean? It'll make you feel that sense of doomsday that that things are definitely going off the rails for this team right now.
Yeah, I mean, last 4 or 5 games, still somehow 5-5 in your last 10. Am I wrong? Am I crazy in saying it feels like we've been a lot worse than that? 5-5 in the last 10. Like I don't know. I feel like they've been like 3-7 somewhere around there. So you're right though. It's not necessarily peaking at the best time, but I don't know. I mean, it's you got to start playing good baseball here in these final 10 games.
Yeah,
Need to.
You're not wrong. You are not wrong. Well, of course, we will be back here shortly. We got Jesse here joining us from Coors Field, and of course, you can focus in on. All right, Jesse, welcome in. Sorry about those technical difficulties, of course, but I see that you. Where are you at right now, Jesse Friedman? What was behind you there? That is not Coors Field. This is a wall at Coors Field.
Yeah, I'll pull the curtain back for everyone here. So Coors Field is sort of over yonder.
Is this so that they don't close things down on you again?
It's beautiful, isn't it? Look at this stunning view.
It's a lot of bright light pouring in.
It's a lot of bright light. Yeah. So unfortunately, the windows are now closed, and so I think if I were to put the stadium in my background, you'd see something like what you just saw, where it'd be like a giant, just you basically staring at the sun. So yeah, we're in this. This is like a nice bar kind of hangout area that they have kind of behind home plate here. That's right next to the press box. So. That is where I am. That is where I am currently, Derek.
Well, it was a beautiful game for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and of course, they did everything right today. This was things looked much better. Corbin Carroll going yard twice, and Eduardo Rodriguez striking out 11. He looked outstanding on the mound for this team, Jesse.
He was so good. Yeah, I mean, Eduardo Rodriguez was really good. I know that. I think he had one outing where he gave up just a run in 5 innings, something like that. But this, for me, was Eduardo Rodriguez's best start of the season by a wide margin. And that's, not to say he hasn't had some games where he's been effective, but this was just a level of dominance that we have not seen from Eduardo Rodriguez at any point in his Diamondbacks tenure. And granted, yeah, he's only made 6 or 7 starts at this point. So we're still very, very early on in this 4-year contract, which I think is important for people to keep that in mind here through some of the highs and lows. But yeah, I think this was a really, really big day for him, not only for the Diamondbacks to win a game that they very much needed to win, but just looking ahead at what these last 10 games are going to look like. As well as what a potential postseason run might look like for the Diamondbacks after Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly. I think there's a lot of unknown about what this rotation would look like, especially if you're in a 7-game series and you need 4 starters, or even as we've discussed earlier, there's potential to need 4 starters even in a 5-game series in the NLDS. So Eduardo Rodriguez, from what I saw today, it's against the Rockies. You have to keep this in perspective, but It was really, really encouraging for sure.
Well, and I mean, to be fair, the Rockies really didn't have a problem scoring against pretty much everybody on the Diamondbacks. It felt like yesterday. So, I mean, just with the way that he was pitching, the confidence that he had in his fastball, he looked like the guy, and this is how I phrased it earlier, but he looked like the guy that you could hope he could be, right? Like he looked like the pitcher that the Diamondbacks went out and acquired, and that would be essentially the third man in the starting rotation for this team.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you think about, if Ryan Nelson is able to come back healthy at some point, what it could look like to have Gallen and Merrill Kelly, who have certainly pitched better lately. Merrill Kelly did pitch well in his outing on Monday. The Diamondbacks obviously lost for a variety of other reasons. But yeah, with Gallen looking better lately, Kelly looking better lately, and then Eduardo Rodriguez having, again, far and away his best start as a member of the Diamondbacks. You could talk yourself into a Diamondbacks playoff rotation that is actually pretty decent, even though the numbers over the course of the whole season are not at all that, right? I mean, I think their starting rotation ERA is probably still close to 5 and maybe in the bottom 5 of the league. But as we saw last season, really what matters the most, if the Diamondbacks are able to get to the playoffs, is what does your top end talent look like once you are in October? And if that group of players is performing well at that time, you can go on a nice little run as we saw last season.
Well, of course, all they got to do is make it there. And of course, that's not a given with how close this wild card race is. And we will get to that wild card update here shortly. But first, want to let you guys all know to go check out our friends at Circle K. Circle K is America's thirst stop. And right now, of course, you can sign up for their Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. And when you do, you'll get those first 5 Polar Pops for absolutely free, as well as a number of other free items in the Circle K app. So make sure to check out that Inner Circle app and everything that they have to offer. They're always offering buy one, get one free, all sorts of wonderful stuff. Of course, you get buy 5, get a 6th one free on a selection of Circle K products as well, like pizza, coffee, and more. So, of course, join that Inner Circle for free now. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. But, of course, it's America's thirst stop. Go out there. I know it's not as hot today as it normally is, but that shouldn't change your levels of thirst. So make sure to keep yourself hydrated. And that goes double for you, Friedman. You know you're specifically who I'm talking about here in this situation. But you know there's a Circle K by you right now. So stop by, save yourself some money on gas. Of course, you also save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups when you are an Inner Circle member, and 3 cents per gallon every day after that. So do not miss out on all the wonderful offers over there at Circle K. Of course, also check out our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, because no one does it better. It is the place to have a great time. Whether you're looking for somewhere to have a staycation, a night out, maybe just looking to go play some cards, make some new friends, it is the place to go. You can visit any one of their 4 locations, Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Vicuiva, or Santan Mountain, to experience the best the Valley has to offer. And of course, you can go all in with over 4,500 slots and live table games, as well as all of their wonderful sports books. And of course, that is where we will be at. We will be having events there all year, including Cardinals and Sons watch parties and so much more. So stay tuned for info at all times on how to come hang out with us at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. But of course, let them show you what Next Level is all about, whether we're there or not. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. And of course, we got to take a boys trip. Kevin doesn't know about the boys trips yet, so maybe he won't refuse to include me the same way Damon doesn't include me on the boys' trips to Gila River. Damon's kind of a monster.
Why would I ever exclude you from anything, Derek?
Yeah, see?
We are brothers in our pro wrestling fandom. We can't let them separate us.
I already like Kevin better than Damon. I'm still Damon's dogs, but I mean, I'm part of Kevin's crew, is what I'm saying.
I didn't give permission for Damon to just hop off set the moment that I
he completely abandoned. We had some technical difficulties, and instead of helping out at all, he just ran out of the room is basically what he did. He took the mic with him for a little bit, as long as the cord would let him go, and then he just dropped it. But of course, Jesse, I don't know. I don't know what's happening with Damon these days. He just left Jesse Jr. here by himself. This is a travesty. Let me give my snake some love. And of course, we need some love from this Diamondbacks team. After witnessing what we saw for the last 2 days, we weren't very happy with them. But today, I feel like we're in a better mood. We want to hear from our guys in the clubhouse.
Yeah, well, we'll go ahead and start, not in the clubhouse, we'll get there in a moment, but with the Diamondbacks manager, Torey Lovullo. Obviously, E-Rod was the story of this game for the Diamondbacks, and really here were Torey's initial comments about the DBacks lefty.
Yeah, I love the 3 runs in the top of the first inning. Gave us a little bit of breathing room, maybe let us exhale a little bit, and then Eduardo just went to work. 6 1/3, 11 punch outs, controlling the zone. He had a really aggressive fastball, was spotting it up. He was getting in on some right-handed hitters. I think that's really important in this ballpark, so they don't get extension or look down out over all the time. Great game plan, and we won this game today because of Eduardo, clearly.
I mean, he was commanding the ball and he was moving it around, but, some appeared to be middle-ish, and yet, they were swinging right through. Was there anything deceptive, maybe more than normal from him today with the fastball?
I don't know that. I haven't seen the location of a lot of those pitches. I just know there's good finish to his stuff, and it looked a little aggressive. I think I saw a couple 93s popping up. So he probably was getting behind the baseball and had a little bit more ride, a little bit more carry. He was ready for this game. We needed him to step up in a big way, and he did.
They really did. That's exactly true. They needed E-Rod to step up today, and I mean he was outstanding. He talked about his wife telling him that when he's on, he looks like a ballerina. because all of his movements are very fluid and smooth, and she tends to compliment him in regards to that. And he definitely looked like he was out there spinning and dancing today.
Yeah, I don't have video of that specific part. There wasn't a whole lot there, but yeah, Eduardo himself was asked about whether he looked like a ballerina or not in this game. And he said I think he said he hadn't talked to his wife yet, so he was waiting for her for her assessment of the situation.
You don't know if you look like a ballerina. You need someone else to tell you when you look like a ballerina. Like that's the way that works.
Yeah. The other thing I'll point out real quick, that very subtle, that people may not have noticed, is that Jody Jackson and Torey Lovello swapped spots in Torey's office. So the last couple of days, Torey would have been or Jody would have been on the right, Torey on the left. Today, as you just saw there, they swapped places, and Torey credited that with today's win. He said that Eduardo Rodriguez had nothing to do with it. It was all because Jody Jackson came up with the idea to switch things up in the interview room. They swapped spots, and there you go. The Diamondbacks win 9-4. So
it's like Jody Jackson is Paul Sewald suggesting they don't take batting practice, basically, is what you're telling me.
I think so. Yeah, I think she had a big impact on this one for sure.
Well, what else do we got there from the clubhouse, Jesse?
Yeah, we also have, I imagine you guys have discussed Corbin Carroll and the fact that he reached a 2020 season today, which was obviously a very impressive accomplishment given everything that he's gone through. Here's what Corbin had to say about reaching 2020.
It's great. Given the way that this year started out, I think if you'd asked me in the middle of the season if this was possible, definitely wasn't on my mind. So to kind of find myself here at the end of the year, I think it's kind of a testament to just stacking the days and continuing to work and, having a great, group of people around me.
So we have two. Jesse, Corbin, I mean, we talked about it a bit. We talked about Damon's future bet for the home runs. It's been incredible what he's been able to put up as far as his season numbers go, considering that it's almost to a degree like he missed half of the season, and I know he didn't physically miss it, but like he struggled so much and, his power wasn't there and his numbers just weren't there that it did. It feels like, obviously it's two completely different seasons for Corbin Carroll from the first, 3 months to what he was able to do in July and beyond. And I think that's what makes that makes that 2020, that could be a 2030 season, look so impressive right now.
I mean, on this at start of play, July 7th, Corbin Carroll had 2 home runs. And here we are mid-September talking about Corbin Carroll having a 2020 season. It really is just outrageous what he has been able to do, the turnaround. It's completely real now, Derek. At this point, there was kind of a gradual process where you started to see Corbin hitting more home runs, but he was still hitting a few more pop-ups than maybe you'd like to see. He wasn't making great contact all the time. And gradually, you've just seen him become more and more like the player he was a year ago, maybe even better than the player he was a year ago, frankly. I guess this is kind of reminds me of first half Corbin Carroll from a season ago where he was very, very good. He is in a great place right now. And I think a really big part of this, which is something we discussed with Torey as well as Corbin himself after this one, is his at-bats against lefties and how much better that has looked here over the last month and a half. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think Corbin has like a 1,000 OPS against left-handed pitching for a pretty decent stretch, maybe going back to the beginning of August or something along those lines. He has been really, really good against lefties. And even last season, when Corbin was obviously outstanding, he was basically about a league average hitter against lefties and did a lot of his damage against right-handers. And today, you continue to see that. Obviously, both of the home runs came against a lefty in Austin Gomber. And he talked about just being able to see breaking stuff better from left-handers as being kind of the key adjustment there. And that is so huge for the D-backs to have, not only Ketel, but also Corbin there at the top of the lineup as someone you feel really, really good about against left-handed pitching. It's a huge asset for this team.
And I mean, I know the batting stance change has been a part of that, Jesse. But could you speak more to that and how that's impacted things?
Yeah, that's something I noticed today. I'm guessing that this has been going on a little bit longer than that. But yeah, Corbin's his setup in the batter's box is a little bit different in terms of kind of where his hands are. He's holding the bat a little bit more directly over his head as opposed to kind of more behind his head, which is what we've seen from him in the past. So yeah, I asked him a few questions about that after the game. It sounds like it goes back to some of the struggles in the beginning of the season with his bat. The plane being a little bit off, with the vertical attack angle. That's something that we talked about a lot, where his swing was getting too flat. And so I think this is part of that. So for people who maybe noticed that, I saw a couple comments on Twitter about people noticing a different batting stance from Corbin. He explained it as being kind of a gradual thing that's been in the works for a while. It's not something that he just changed a couple of days ago. But yeah, whatever he's doing, it is certainly working. And yeah, it looks a little bit different now than it did a few months ago.
Well, it's like, again, versus his struggles versus now. I mean, there's a lot of things about his swing and such that looks like it was prior to that weird shoulder injury scare that he had last season, right? And I know that impacted the way he was swinging the bat, and that impacted his a lot of things he was doing at the plate. But it definitely looks like he's just swinging, for power, and he's swinging confidently, and you just see him looking like he sees everything very well. And I mean, obviously those changes have probably been gradual, but along the way you've seen that improvement. And I mean, the results have been there, right? Like, this is an incredible thing that he's accomplished, considering, again, going back to what I was saying, how long he struggled for prior to, finding his groove, getting his groove back, if you will. But of course, speaking of getting their groove back, E-Rod definitely looks great. Again, we will withhold judgment because, much like yourself, I do feel like no matter how high we want to get on today, we want to say this is against the Rockies and Gomber was starting. Yeah. And, of course, this was also a team that already has taken 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks and have won the series. And as much as I'm sure they would have liked to sweep the DBacks, didn't really have much left to prove after the way they won games 1 and 2 in this one, right? So, I get it. It's maybe in game 3 they played a little bit more like the team we were hoping to catch the entire series, but I'm still really impressed with what we saw out of E-Rod today, and especially, how effective he was with his fastball.
Yeah, it's bigger than one game, right? It's not just about E-Rod pitching well today and helping the D-backs win a very important game. It's about what the next 10 days look like. I imagine that E-Rod would make 2 starts. I think he lines up to start the final game of the season for the Diamondbacks as well, which could still be a very crucial one against the San Diego Padres. So yeah, it's just, obviously the D-backs made a really big investment here, and they've struggled a little bit in free agency with some of these lefties. So this was a really big step for him. Going back to Corbin real quick, I did think it was interesting hearing Corbin talk about just the Diamondbacks in this series. And he mentioned that if the Diamondbacks had lost this game, right, like getting swept at Coors Field is not exactly what you have in mind. And that's sort of what he described. But at the same time, he said some interesting things about the D-backs and their hitters meetings today, about how they didn't come to the ballpark today feeling like they needed to win. They came to the ballpark today sort of expecting to win and feeling like we are here because we are a good team, and we are going to win because we are a good team. We don't have to put that extra pressure on ourselves, knowing the situation that we're in. So it was interesting to hear that perspective from Corbin.
And I mean, again, this is a team that the one benefit to what they went through last year is knowing that, things sometimes look bleak. And you got to find your way in, and as long as you find your way in, you'll get there. They're just in more of a driver's seat this year, and they were last year. They just didn't get the job done. They had to kind of back their way in. This year, they definitely have a chance to control their own destiny and win their way into the playoffs instead of letting another team lose so that they can get in. I think that, the experience once again tells them that there is no need to panic right now because, they are a good baseball team, a better baseball team than they were last year. And they can look kind of confidently at how far they got last year and know that they can do it again. They really can with the way that this team played today.
Yeah, let's go to E-Rod, who I guess is sort of the man of the hour here. Here's what Eduardo Rodriguez had to say about his outing, the game plan, and what was working so well for him today.
I mean, the game plan was like always, we read the reports and everything and just attack all the time, and that's how it was. So the attacking the strike zone with all my pitches and try to look at it right what I wanted, and we got a good result today.
How much did you use your cutter today?
A lot. I mean, I feel like every start of the game told me what I'm going to use. There will be some games that are going to use my change it more. There are some games that are going to like the quarter like today, or the sinker, the slider. So for me, just go out there and read what happened in the game and just keep doing it.
How pleased are you to be able to give the team 6 1/3, 11 strikeouts, a big outing that this team needed today?
I mean, I was happy with it, because I know we need to win most of every game we play right now. So winning today was great, be able to go out there and be out there for 6 1/3 innings. It's just special because I know the team would need it, and I was able to do it.
With everything that you have to go through with the injury and everything else, getting back, and it seems like you're getting in your rhythm. How satisfying was it to put this together for your new team?
I mean, good. You just say like I was sitting back and watch everybody play now that I'm back here, and just been kind of like grinding the last couple of starts, and today be available to go out there and feel great on all my pitches and everything. That told me that I'm good to go and be out there and execute it today was great.
Was this as good as you felt out of this team? Would you say?
I mean, you already see it probably. Every start that I got this year, I think this is the best one, So yeah, for sure, 100%. Pitching wise, velocity wise, everything was just right there. So.
Well, I mean, that's a guy that's important for this team. I think that, obviously the versatility that he gives you in the starting rotation to have, the two righties potentially broken up by a lefty and to have him pitching like he pitched today in the postseason would be incredible.
Yeah, and again, I mean, this is against the Rockies, right? Like,
right.
Coors Field is not an easy place to pitch, but at the same time, the Rockies did not have a great approach against him. There was a lot of first pitch swing at some cutters that were in off the plate, which ironically is actually where most of the Rockies hits came from. They chased a lot of cutters that were like kind of in on the hands, and they found a way to fight them off into the outfield for bloop singles. But the Rockies are not a very formidable opponent. I think it'll be interesting to see what E-Rod's next outing looks like, which I believe will come against the San Francisco Giants. He's not scheduled to pitch in that Brewers series, but we will likely see him in that opener against San Francisco. And the Giants, it's not like they have an amazing offense necessarily, but a step above this Rockies group. Ryan McMahon also wasn't in the lineup today. So yeah, it's a really big step in the right direction. It is encouraging for sure, but you also want to see him start to string a few of these together, right? See if it's not just a kind of a one-hit wonder, and maybe he's able to really build something here as the season comes to a close.
Well, let's take a look at the wild card race update. Of course, Jesse, Diamondbacks still, for now, have a half a game lead over the Mets until they play their baseball game. But they're here in the wild card race, obviously, and the Diamondbacks improved to 84-68. They are, of course, still behind the Padres, who I'm being informed by Tanner are about to take the lead in their game, which doesn't surprise me at all. But of course, yes, you have the Braves there 2 games back, 2.5 right now from the DBacks, and then those other teams that have kind of fallen off a bit. But yeah, I mean, the Diamondbacks are still here close, and I mean, it's just kind of wild to think, Damon and I were discussing it earlier, that the Diamondbacks sit here at their win total from last season with 10 games left to go, and it's not enough to be in the postseason or have a spot secured. And they're going to need to win as many of those 10 games they have remaining in order to secure their spot.
They are. Yeah. I mean, I wrote about it in my newsletter last night / this morning. They're in a dogfight, right? This is going to go down to the final days of the season. I mean, even if the Diamondbacks do play pretty well, it's going to be hard for them to clinch a spot until probably that last series against San Diego. So yeah, we'll see what it looks like here in these next few days. This weekend, Derek, I think is really important with the way that the Brewers played the D-backs at Chase Field this past weekend. Having to go into Milwaukee for 4 games there is a really big test. And I think as we talk about Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, making strides forward, what is it going to look like against a better team in Milwaukee? I know Gallen obviously pitched against the Brewers his last time out, right, but you want to see those guys, really kind of get on a nice run here. And we've seen the beginnings of that, but there's still, a couple of big tests here in this final week or so. This is not over by any means. Losing 2 out of 3 to the Rockies is, at the end of the day, a bad outcome. This is not what the Diamondbacks envisioned coming in here. Right. We'd be having a very different conversation if they had won the first game of the series and then lost the next 2, right? The vibes would be much, much different here on this post-game show. But this was a well-played game by the D-backs today, and we'll see if they're able to take some of that momentum into Milwaukee.
One guy we haven't talked about, and this is just for our Pavin Smith fan club, is Pavin Smith, who stays hot, Jesse. Pavin just continues to be a big contributor to this offense. And again, when this team has been going through its ups and downs lately, it feels like Pavin has kind of been a steady contributor there offensively.
Yeah, he really has. I mean, this is going to be a really interesting time for the D-backs. As I said yesterday, I think there's a decent chance that Lourdes Gurriel Jr. gets activated tomorrow at the start of that Brewers series. And pretty obvious that Pavin Smith is not going anywhere. Maybe there was a world a couple of weeks ago where Pavin Smith would be the odd man out in this situation, but you just can't do that. The guy is just continuing to hit and prove himself offensively. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Diamondbacks split playing time in left field with Gurriel back. I mean, Gurriel has great numbers this season against lefties, but frankly, against righties, there's a pretty big gap between what the D-backs have gotten this season from Pavin Smith and what they've gotten from Gurriel. Obviously, the sample size is much bigger with Gurriel than it is with Pavin, but Gurriel this season is only hitting 249, 292, 394. That's a 686 OPS against righties in 356 plate appearances, which is obviously a pretty big sample. So you clearly want Gurriel in there every single day against a lefty, but against a righty with what Pavin Smith is doing right now, it's going to be hard for the D-backs to sit him in that situation. And DH spot isn't really an option. You got Jock Peterson there, and first base, Christian Walker is going to be there the vast majority of the time. So it's going to be tough to find at-bats for Pavin Smith. It's already been tough to find at-bats for Josh Bell. We haven't seen him play a whole lot recently. So that's something I'm going to have my eye on this weekend for sure.
BC is just now finding out I'm Puerto Rican, Jesse. That's why when Jesse makes fun of the way I pronounce certain words, it's a hate crime. That's why that's the way that works. But no, it's because it's honestly, I am very bad at speaking sometimes. Someone asked why I'm so stressed. We had a camera die on us in the middle of a show. So I'm still recovering mentally from one of our cameras literally just dying. It just died. It died. It couldn't. I guess it gave up on the season before many of us did. But
not even battery dead.
Even battery dead, Jesse. The camera's it's inoperable. It's dead. The camera just died on us. Yeah, but we appreciate you guys being here so much. Of course, especially you, Thunderbolt, for finally showing up for a win. Way to go. But of course, we also thank you guys so much for being Arizona Diamondbacks fans. We do have a big series that starts tomorrow. Of course, we will actually have a 1 p.m. show tomorrow instead of a post-game show. That's because Archie Bradley is in the house, along with Jesse Friedman here at PHNX HQ. So make sure to join us tomorrow for that. Of course, in the meantime, you can follow us all on Twitter. I am at Cap_Caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Of course, Kevin is at Kev Tom. Is it what
like
is it
Thomas? Again? My last name is Thomas, so KEVTHOMWRITES.
Right, like the way that Jesse writes.
You need to figure this out, Derek, because you asked Kevin to read out his Twitter handle every single show.
It's not my fault.
I think I get less confident every time I do it.
To be fair, it's a very complicated one, and I should probably write it down. But
that's fair.
Write it down.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
guess Kevin Thomas, like that you're in a bit of a tough spot there, Twitter handle wise. Like I imagine
there's probably Kevin Thomas 1 through 50.
Oh, Twitter handles, school emails, Xbox usernames,
I'm sorry.
The whole lot.
Rough out there.
But follow him at Kev Tom Writes, and we are Kev's crew. Yeah, I don't know what to do. We don't have a noise we make for that, but we are also over at PHNX _DBacks, but all roads do lead to at PHNX _sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys for stopping by. We'll see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. For our 1 p.m. show this week, and then we'll be back with a post-game show on Friday. So until then, have a wonderful evening. Go Diamondbacks, and remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you can rely on your starting pitcher to get the job done.
We all silly like the mayor.